Hello my crafty DIY homegirls. Today I have put together the ultimate playlist of all of my DIYs that I have done throughout the month of November and December. So get your craft scissors in hand and your hot glue warmed up and let's get crafting. We're gonna just jump right into the first craft, which is meant for your front door. I am gonna be taking these supplies that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. Start by removing all of the canvas fabric from the frames. Now these frames are high quality thick pieces of wood, which is the reason why I have decided to use them. So many people forever have been trying to figure out how to create a window frame from popsicle sticks and all sorts of crazy things, but this is the fastest way to make a really darling farmhouse window frame. So you're going to take two of the ends and glue them together, and then you're going to repeat that on the other two, and then once you've got those glued together, you're going to glue the middle to each other. So now you're going to have four pieces all glued together, and to make it a little bit stronger, because you know it's still hot glue, you're going to flip it over and take some popsicle sticks and glue those at the seams. This is going to make it really sturdy and strong without it breaking or falling apart on you if you barely even drop it. Then you're going to take some brown paint and water it down to create a wood stain. Now you don't have to do this if you're planning on painting it white, which is what you're going to see me do next, but I want you to see that if you are more of a wood loving person, this is a really pretty option as well. I just wanted you to be able to see that if you take some brown paint and some water, it makes it look like a stained vintage piece of wood. Now because I want mine to be white and I love the color white painted on things, my husband makes fun of me all the time because I'm always bringing things into our home and painting them white. I'm going to take some of this paint with a small brush and I'm just going to lightly brush it on because I do still want that wood grain to come through. I really do love that rustic farmhouse look, but I love that weathered paint look as well. So I'm just going to lightly brush that all over my frame, and then once I'm all done painting it, I'm going to put it to the side and let it dry and move on to another part. Don't forget to flip around your frame on different angles so you don't miss painting one side. I have that happen all the time. Now you're going to take your wreath, and I picked this up from the floral section. It wasn't in the Christmas decor. You're going to have to go over to that section and you will find all sorts of wreaths that they have there. I took a pick that had pine cones and a cotton stem and the Christmas tree stems, and I just cut it all apart, as well as a vine that I picked up from Hobby Lobby a long time ago that has boxwood leaves. I thought the different green textures would be really pretty on this wreath. Once I've got all my greenery glued into place, I'm then going to add in some color and that cotton stem. I just think that this looks so pretty and natural and more real versus fake. Do you know what I mean? Then I'm going to add in my berries and my cotton stem, and I just think at this point it looks so stinking pretty. Make sure you hot glue everything down into place really well, just because it keeps it looking nice for long term, especially when you pack things up when Christmas is over. Things can kind of get smushed and they break off. Now you're going to take the two birds that you pick up from the Dollar Tree, and you're going to pop off their little clips on their bums. You don't need those, just because we're going to be hot gluing it into place. So give your birds a nice helping of hot glue, and then just place them where you would like them to be. And I think this looks so cute. It looks like they have their own little nest inside this wreath. And funny enough, every single winter we actually have a pair of birds lay eggs in our wreath on the front door. Then to finish the wreath, you're going to take a piece of twine, two of the jingle bells. There are 12 in a pack, so you can use these for other things, but I'm going to take just two of them, and I'm going to tie them to the end of a piece of twine. This is going to allow them to hang down nicely and look really pretty. And then you're going to just drape it over the bottom of your wreath and hot glue that into place and let it sit for a minute. Now ignore that burlap ribbon at the bottom. I decided to take it off at the end, so just ignore that it's there. But to fasten your wreath to your window frame, you're going to take a piece of twine. You're going to pull it through on the back side. You don't want to see it from the front, so just make sure you're going down the back side of the wreath, and then you're going to tie it to your window frame. And then to make sure it stays nice and secure, you're going to take some scissors, cut off that extra twine so you don't see that coming around the front, and hot glue it down into place. Now to make a hanger up at the top, you're going to take some twine. I used some thick twine that I untwisted from the Dollar Tree rope, and then you're going to simply add on a bow. I am so excited to share with all of you. When I figured out that they had these two different glass items that fit into each other perfectly, I knew that I wanted to make a vintage lantern. What you're going to do to get started is you're going to take some black paint, and with the mason jar that has a handle, you're just going to go over it just once. You don't need to go over it more than once because you're going to be doing some distressing to it in just a few minutes. So you're gonna get it all painted black, and then you're gonna take some white and some of that black and mix it together, and you're just gonna keep adding on layers of this gray color. And this is gonna cause it to look more like a metal. And as you keep working with it and brushing it on, you're gonna have a paper towel next to you so that you can keep wiping off the paint if you get too much, and just keep tabbing it on, getting lighter shades and lighter shades as you go. I love this technique and find that this is so therapeutic when I do it. Once you've got that all done and dry, you're going to go ahead and take some E6000. Nobody ever talks about it, but this stuff really smells, so just beware when you're working with it. Add some E6000 around to the base of this vase, and then you're going to put it right into your handle jar. Now keep in mind that some of it will squirt out. If it does, get those trusty popsicle sticks out again and just wipe up the excess. Don't use a paper towel because it'll just get stuck, and then you'll have a big mess on your hands. Then you're going to add a ribbon around with a simple one tie, and then take some extra pieces of ribbon with little dovetails on the end and glue them out towards the top and the bottom so it makes it look like it's got a really big, thick, beautiful ribbon on it. Here I am again with that beaded garland. I'm going to go around it once and twist it into place. I love this stuff because you can twirl up the ends on your finger and it just looks so cute. So you could stop here, but I like things to be layered on. So I'm going to take this really pretty pine pick that has some snow on it, and I'm just going to put that in place, and I'm going to help secure it even more with this beaded garland. I'm going to take it and twist it around so that it stays in place without it ever falling off. These kind of items do fall off over time when you hot glue them on, so this is going to really keep it in place. And then I'm going to take some berries from that same pick that I used the evergreen from, and I'm going to sneak that down in behind it and glue it all into place. Now, I don't know why I lost the footage of the bow, but I added the bow to it, as you can see, and I also added a pine cone. Now, after I was all done, I decided that I wanted to make it look a little bit better, so I found the small plate that is also in the same places where they keep the vases and the frames at the Dollar Tree, and I just added that to the bottom with some more E6000. Once it's glued and dried in place, you're going to take some more of that paint and just distress it just like you did the base. Up next, we're going to do more of a glam ornament for my glam girls out there. You're going to take pearls from the Dollar Tree. They have different sizes there and some wire. I used 2 strands of wire, and how I strung on my beads was really simple. First, I went with the wires together, pulled on a small bead, then I opened them up and put on a big bead on one wire, put the wires back together and put on a small bead again. Doing this allows the beads to lock into place without them shifting around once you put it inside of your ornament, and it just looks so pretty and elegant. You can see here that the bigger beads are holding in place because of those small beads. Then when you're all done stringing your beads, you're going to go ahead and take your wire and you're going to put that right inside of your clear ornament. I think this is so elegant and pretty, and it is just the simplest thing to do, and it's really fun to string these beads. Once you get everything all stuffed inside, you're going to take your cap to your ornament, put that back on, and let's glam it up just a little bit more. So I took some Mod Podge just because I like it. I put it all over the ornament top, and I'm now going to sprinkle glitter all over it. So first I did a sugar glitter, making sure that I lightly dusted it, and then I decided to go back and add some more of this Mod Podge all over the top of the ornament so it looks like frost had just settled all over it. Once I got the sugar glitter on, I went back in with a thicker, coarser glitter that I love. I picked this glitter up from Target. I just think it is so pretty. They have a lot of different colors in this thicker, coarse glitter. And then I also used it to rub around a little bit on the sides. Then to make it a little more elegant, I took a thin white ribbon that you can pick up at the Dollar Tree. I did not tie it, I just simply wrapped it around, used some hot glue, and popped that right into place. And I repeated that process twice so that there were 4 strands coming down. Then I took the lace ribbon that they have at the Dollar Tree, tied a bow, and hot glued that on. And yes, after everyone's request, there is going to be a bow video coming soon. Up next is the easiest DIY. Oh friends, I'm so excited to share this one. When I saw them come out with these at Christmas time, I just knew that I wanted to turn this into a farmhouse DIY. So I took off this cheesy silver tinsel garland that was on it, and you're left with this cone that is perfect. Now the spacing between the jump rings are a little too wide apart for what we're going to be doing, so I'm going to take some of this twine, and again, this came from the rope at the Dollar Tree. I just untwisted it and it gave me 3 nice thick pieces of twine. So I'm going to cut that piece off and I'm just going to glue it into place, and you can see that I'm making smaller jump ring sections that's going to allow me to be able to glue something to it in just another moment. And when you do that one, you're going to make sure you go in between the other 2, the one at the bottom and as well as the one at the top, and make sure you glue them into place nicely so that there aren't any issues structurally and it falls apart with time. Once you've got those all glued into place, you're going to see that it's ready for the next step. So you're going to take some drop cloth. I bought a huge drop cloth at Home Depot, and then over time I've just been ripping it up and using it for my DIYs. So you're going to take your tree and you're going to just figure out how wide you want your strips to be, and once you do, you're going to make a snip in the fabric, and then you're just going to simply rip it all the way down to the bottom. I love doing it this way because it frays the edges and it saves me from having to do that work myself. It actually speeds up that process. You're going to take those strips of fabric, you're going to pinch the end, and this is to create a nice fold in the beginning, and you're just going to hot glue that down into place. Now we're going to be doing a ruffle all the way around this tree, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It is the easiest thing to create a ruffle, but just in case you don't know, I'm going to walk you through the steps in the beginning. So first what you're going to do is you're going to create a line of hot glue, pull that down, press it in place, and then you're going to do a dot of hot glue. And you're going to want to also make sure that you're reaching down at the bottom, and again there's no bald spots. So now do a little dot of glue, pull it back, push it down into place, let it dry for a second, and then you're going to pull back that fabric so that you can put in your next line of glue. So you're just going to go back and forth between line, dot, and then it'll create the ruffle without any struggle at all. When you get to the end of that first jump ring section, you're going to take your fabric, you're going to take your scissors, and you're going to cut it because you don't need any of that extra stuff. And then you're simply going to take the end of that fabric and you're going to turn it under and hot glue it down into place. So just like I'm doing here, you're going to fold it under, and I'll show you one more time just in case you missed it. And to make sure it stays into place, I've decided to just put a little hot glue, fold it under, and then I'm going to put down some hot glue on the starting points, and then I'm just going to hot glue that down into place. And now you have finished all the way around your first row, and you're going to just move all the way up to the top. Now, to make sure that the bottom stays in place and it just doesn't get all weird looking over time, I'm just going to glue down little bits here and there where the pleat is on the back side to glue it into place. When you get to the top and after you've gone all the way around, you're just going to complete that last little bit. And the top, if you noticed, I was pinching the fabric together to make sure that it is nice and smushed. The fabric towards the top gets less and less just because there's less surface to have to circle around. So it's really not that complicated. You just keep smushing it in just like I'm doing here. Now that you've got it all covered with fabric, you can decorate it. You could technically leave it like this with just the fabric if that's your style and you like that, or you can add a little flare at the top, which is more my style. So I'm going to add some of the picks that I just cut up into little small pieces, and I'm going to add a pretty glitter bow. I just think these picks are so pretty, and I cannot wait to show you what I'm going to make with them. Now, raise your hand if you cannot stand stickers that just do not come off. Friends, years ago I used to own a scrapbook company, and I'm going to tell you right now that when stickers rip like this for the barcodes, it is simply because the company is trying to cut back. All they have to do is pay a couple more cents and have the nicer stickers on the bottom. So this just drives me nuts. Once you get that sticker off, or if you don't at all, just go ahead and add some red paint to your jars, giving it a nice coating all the way around and then letting that dry. You're going to do that to all 3 of the jars, and while they're drying and you put them off to the side, you're then going to move on to ripping some more of those strips, or if you've already done them, then you're ready to go and just wait for the jars to dry. I'm going to fray them a little bit more and just pull out some of those fibers and then simply hot glue them around the jar. Now, I made something like this for a fall video that I did a couple months ago where I wrote fall on them, but this one's going to be joy, and it's going to be so pretty. I can't wait to show you what the O looks like in the middle. So when you get to the end, you're just going to fold that over and hot glue it into place. And then once your jar is done, you're going to move on to the other 2. Now use a pencil and just sketch on your J and your Y, and make sure you line your jars up so that the letters are the same size and consistency. This is the easiest part, girls. You're going to just go right over the J with your Sharpie marker, and then remember, we're not going to do the O because I have something planned for the O. And the best part about this is there's no dry time, it's just immediate. You're going to take one of these garland ties and you're going to give it a haircut, because as of right now it's a little too bushy for it to be able to be used for a mini wreath. So you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to go down the garland, leaving some of the greenery and just trimming off a lot of that excess stuff. Then you're going to push that out of the way. It's funny because it kept sticking to my hands and to the table. It like magnetized. You're going to circle around to create your little mini wreath. You're going to test out the size before you cut it, and then once you've got it in place, you're going to cut it down to size and then just keep bending it until you get it to the perfect shape that you want. I wanted more of a long O than a short chubby round one kind of look, just because it's going to match the J and the Y better. You know, that Rae Dunn look that we all love. Then you're going to add some hot glue and put that on your jar, and then add some cute little berries and trim up any of that greenery that might be kind of going rogue that maybe you missed in the beginning. Take some foam squares you can also pick up from the Dollar Tree, cut them down to size and add a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of each one, and then shove them all in there nice and snug so they don't come loose. This is going to allow you to be able to put in all of your picks without there being any issues of them falling out and moving on you. Then just cut apart those 3 picks that I showed you earlier and put them all down inside of your jars, creating a really pretty look for your Christmas tables or entryway, wherever you decide to plan on using these jars. Then to finish the look, I'm going to take some of this gingham ribbon that I actually picked up from Walmart. I love this ribbon. It's over in their craft section, and I'm just going to tie a bow. And it still looked a little plain Jane, so I decided to take a button and really finish off the look. There's something about adding a little button on the inside of a bow that just makes me so happy every time I do it. I just always love the way it looks. And then here is the finished look. If you are enjoying this video, don't forget to click the subscribe button because 2020 is going to be my best DIY year yet. Now, the Dollar Tree carries this rope and I love it. When I discover if you untwist it, it thins out the thickness of the rope, and one piece is perfect for the consistency of wrapping around these candy canes that you can also pick up there. So I went over the end and kind of frayed out that rope just a little bit to cover it, put a line of hot glue, and then just started wrapping around your candy cane. Now beware, you're working with hot glue. You're going to actually see me burn my finger in just a second. I put my finger right in it. Duh, Heidi. But I know we all have those moments, so just be careful when you're working with the hot glue. Once you get to the end, you're going to put some hot glue right on the tip of it, and again, work really carefully and cautiously. See how I twist it all the way into a circle, and then I'm going to snip it off, put down some hot glue, make sure it's not too hot, and then press that rope right into place. To decorate this candy cane and to make it look a little more special, I took these berries that were on a floral stem and I just pulled off what I didn't need so I can get a little bit more coverage for hot glue. I put down a piece of greenery that I got from the Twist greenery ties that they also sell at the Dollar Tree. And then I just glued in the berries, which made it look so adorable. Then to finish the look, I decided to tie on some ribbon, and I just think this looks so pretty. Now this ribbon didn't come from the Dollar Tree, but they have a lot of Christmas ribbon options there. I also decided to add a button for my button collection. Can you tell that I like collecting them? With a little bit of hot glue and a button on it, it completes the look. Once you get your canvases all prepped, you're going to take your washi tape and you're going to create large letters on the canvas. Now I find that this thickness of washi tape is just the perfect to be able to create these. You don't have to worry about having a Cricut or having to paint perfectly. You just rub down the washi tape really well, it'll stay in place, and then you can paint right on it. Now I recommend when you're using your washi tape to paint away from the tape, as you can see I'm doing here. When you paint towards it, paint no matter how well the tape is, it can still sneak underneath it because it's a liquid. So you're going to see that I'm brushing away from my first layer of paint, and then once that dried, I went back over it again 2 more times to make sure the paint was really consistent and even all over the canvas. Once your paint is dry, you're ready to go ahead and remove your letters. You can see that my canvases were actually still a little wet, but I just couldn't wait anymore. I wanted to see how it looked, and I went ahead and pulled it up. I do recommend being patient, not like I just did here. But the longer you let it dry, the less chance that you have for the paint to be able to sneak underneath. But isn't this just so cool? Can you just imagine all the possibilities of words and things you can do for this sign? Then when the paint is really truly dried, go ahead and take some twine. You are going to cut pieces of twine along each edge side of your letter. I took some hot glue and tapped down my twine into it, and then continued all the way around the other sides of the letters. Then once you're all done going around your letters, you're going to take your canvases, flip them over, and make sure they're all facing the right direction, because you're going to be gluing them all into place to create the sign. So what I like to do, I took my washi tape, it's the perfect thickness, and I put it between the 2 canvases, and then using 2 pieces of twine, I went ahead and put them in place, locking them so that they will be able to hang from the wall when I put my sign up. Hot glue is a little bit tricky in this area because you can burn your fingers, so I liked using a popsicle stick to be able to make sure that I didn't have any issues burning my finger. And then I'm going to just continue that all the way down my sign in between each locked in joint, so that way it's all perfectly spaced and hanging from the wall and doesn't have any weird hanging issues. You don't have to use a staple gun, but I did use a staple gun just because I felt like it would hold it in place a little bit better. Just over time, you know, things can slip and fall when it comes to hot glue, but you don't have to, because this next step, when you take a piece of felt and cut it and put it on the back, it's going to really lock everything in place. Plus, it has a really nice finished look. And then at the very top of the canvas, this is the top of the N, I went ahead and put a longer piece for a hang-up spot on the sign. Then when you flip it over, you're going to see that you're ready to put on your O. I took my beaded garland from the Dollar Tree and created a bigger O so that I can put it in there, and it just looks so pretty all together. And then to make it even prettier, I took some more twine and tied a bow and put that right at the bottom of it. You could use just regular traditional ribbon, but I had this fabric on hand and I just loved it so much. I went ahead and made myself a bow to be able to put at the top of my sign. Leave a comment down below to let me know if you'd like me to do a video on bows, because I really love making bows out of fabric and I always have people ask me about them, so let me know if you'd like to see a video about that in the future. Then to make sure that the bow is on there nice and pretty, I put a little piece of felt down first, put down hot glue with the strap that I created earlier to hang up my sign, and then I took the hot glue and made sure everything was in place, snipped off that back of that fabric, and there you go, the finished sign. We are taking their large Christmas balls that they have at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take some drop cloth. You can use any kind of fabric, so if you don't want to go so farmhouse, you can pick up some other type of fabric, but I just thought it would look so pretty doing this drop cloth tan fabric, and it's super simple to do this ornament. You're just going to take a string of hot glue, run it over the ornament, rub it down in place, snip it off at the top where the stem of the ornament is, and then you're just going to continue going all the way around until you've completely covered your ornament. Now I will say, before I did the hot glue, I tried it with Mod Podge, and friends, don't do that. It was so messy. Hot glue is so much easier to do, so it is truly a Pinterest fail if you try to use Mod Podge with drop cloth. I just think it looks kind of dingy and old. I really liked the version with the hot glue instead. So once you've got your drop cloth covered all over your ornament, you're going to then take some leftover of that rope that we used earlier, and you're just going to wrap around that gold part at the very top, the stem of the ornament. You're just going to go around and conceal that gold a little bit because it just looks really pretty like this. And then I'm going to take the Mod Podge again, and I am going to add a little bit to 2 leaves to create a little greenery at the top of this ornament. So I use every bit of these flowers. I even use the wires sometimes when I need them. Don't ever throw away your supplies because there's always something you can make out of them. I just am going to rub this Mod Podge all over the ornament, add some glitter to it, and then it just makes it look like frost had settled on these leaves. Simply add some hot glue and stick your leaves on. Now notice how I'm turning down the leaves a little bit so that they're not sticking out funny. When you do that, it allows it to crease over, and then it just looks so beautiful, as if it's naturally on a branch. Then using some more of those little glitter balls that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, I put a dollop of hot glue, added on about 6 or 7 of them, and then repeated that 2 more times to create that berry look. They are a little tricky to work with, so if you do have craft tweezers, I would recommend that because it would keep you from burning your finger. But if you don't, you can just use your fingers like I'm using here. Then, because I'm crazy about this ribbon, you don't have to add it, but I just loved the way it looked, so I went ahead and added 2 strips of this ribbon, and notice that I cut them at a dovetail cut at the bottom and the top, which is going to allow them to sit nicely at the top and look really pretty at the bottom. The next craft we're going to move on to is a bird's nest, and these are the supplies that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I just loved these little birds, and I knew right away that I wanted to do like a little winter's bird love nest. I don't know. So I picked up this styrofoam shape. It's such an odd shape, but I started thinking about how it would be the greatest base for a bird's nest. So I took some really thick jute twine that they have at the Dollar Tree. I went around the base twice and then flipped it over and then spiraled it around on the bottom of the bird's nest. Now this is going to create a really nice finished look when you're all done, where it looks like it's a store quality craft. I like trying to make my crafts look as store-bought as possible versus it looks like I did this at home for a fun project. But if you want to skip this step, you can, but one bundle of this twine worked really well for the whole thing, and I did not have to buy a second one. Then once you're done twirling around the bottom, you're going to move towards the top, and you're going to go around one layer at the top and hot glue all of that into place. Now comes the next part, which is the messiest part. You're going to take all of these little tiny fibers that you can pick up from the Dollar Tree, and you are just going to keep putting on hot glue and massaging them into place. The more you squeeze them and interlock your fingers, just kind of twirling it around, it helps it knot up a little bit better. You're going to see me doing it a lot in this stage, and then you're going to just keep hot gluing them down until you get all the way around the whole thing. And then at the very top, I took a whole bunch of it and placed it around in a circle, so then that way, and you can see that I'm massaging it all into place, so then that way when I hot glue it on
it's already in its form and I don't have to worry about trying to lock it into each other. That makes it so that it doesn't come apart and it just looks better quality like this. And then once you've got a whole bunch of hot glue on there, go ahead and put it on and then massage it into the other pieces that are already there, helping lock it all into place. Now you can see that there's still that part in the middle, so I just put a little bit more hot glue in there and I took the last of the loose fibers that I had there and I just stuck them down inside. Then go ahead and take your bird. I put my first one down just because I wanted it to be able to be the guide for everything that I stuck in the nest. And just place that little bird. I think this is the girl bird because the cardinal birds that are girls are actually, they have brown on them. The red birds are actually the boy birds. We learned that when we moved to Missouri. Once you got your bird on, I'm going to take some ribbon down at the bottom. I just thought this looked really pretty and farmhouse-like. So I wrapped a ribbon around it, tied another really cute bow, and then placed that on that seam so you don't see that. And it looks nice and finished. And then you'll be able to move on to your little tree-like forest scene. I don't know what to call it, but you'll see in just a second. Obviously the ribbon is optional, but I just think it looks so pretty when it has a ribbon on it. I'm just a fan of bows, I guess. Okay, so for the next part, here is that tree-like forest thing I was talking about. I'm going to take some pine cones, some leaves that were on this sprig that I got from the Dollar Tree, and then I'm just going to lightly brush them all with white paint and glitter, and that makes it look more frosty, like it's a winter time home decor project because, you know, this is for Christmas. And then it's really simple to make things look like frost and snow is on them. You just take a little bit of white paint and just tap it on and add some glitter. Once everything has dried, you're ready to assemble it. And this is just really up to your own eye and what you think looks good. I put down my first little sprig of the garland stem, and then I put my bird and then just kept building from there to complete that whole look. Once you get everything in place, let it dry, and you have yourself a really darling new Christmas bird's nest. First, print out the printable that I've provided in the link down below, and once you do, and it's on a nice piece of cardstock, you're going to cut out the little sheet of music paper. Now, I like to use a thick cardstock, but you can basically use whatever paper you have on hand. Then when you've got it cut out, you're going to take some hot glue and you're going to put a small bead at the very top. Make sure you leave a spot at the top with the white cardstock so you can actually have enough room to put the popsicle stick on there, and as well as the bottom. But the side of the music sheet paper, you're going to trim it really close to the music notes. Then once the hot glue has dried, you're going to take some scissors and snip off the ends so that they're not rounded and they fit nicely to the music paper. You're going to go ahead and put it down at the bottom as well. And again, repeat the process of just cutting off that stick. Once the front side is done, you're going to flip it over and do the same exact thing on the back side of your ornament. When you get to the top part of the ornament though, you're going to take a little piece of twine and you're going to hot glue that down first. You're going to cut it to the desired length that you want, and then go ahead and hot glue it all into place so that it's nice and snug. This ornament takes seriously minutes to make. It is so fast to make this. You can do a ton of these. You can give these out as a Christmas ornament gift to friends that you care about and love. And the cool thing is you could even do your favorite Christmas carol song. I just think that this is the sweetest, easiest project to be able to give someone for Christmas. Then to add a little bit more farmhouse flair to it, I'm going to take some brown paint with white, water it down so it becomes more of a stain versus a paint, because I want the wood of the popsicle sticks to still show through. I'm going to just lightly brush that on and make sure that it absorbs into the wood. This is a really easy process and it dries really quickly. Then once it's all dried, it is ready to be hung up on your Christmas tree. Could you just imagine all the fun things you can do with this ornament? This next one, when I saw these snowman ornaments, I thought they were so cute that I wanted to turn them into a wreath. And so I picked up several of them, and then as well as this red glitter ribbon that they had at the Dollar Tree, I realized that they were the perfect width to sneak underneath the berries on the snowman's hat and to be able to help you bring it around the backside and tie it on to the wreath form. And so once I did that and I got that first guy in place and hot glued the back of him so he wouldn't slide or move around, I went ahead and did all the other snowmen. And you can see here that hot gluing them into place is the best thing to keep them from moving on you. Then I took some of this mesh garland ribbon. I forgot what this stuff is called. I always forget. But I took it, brought in the middle pieces, and then doubled that up. So I did that 2 times to create a really poofy looking type bow. And then the Dollar Tree has these really cool garland twist ties. I thought this was so smart. I have not seen these before and I really love them. I actually want to go back and pick up some more of them because they were so useful for craft projects. I went ahead and took that twist tie and then I just twisted on that bow. Once you've gone all the way around doing them in your desired places, go ahead and get your Christmas balls that you can pick up as well from the Dollar Tree, and then you're just going to glue them into spots to help again fill in your wreath and hide that wreath form around the backside of your wreath. And you can add as many or as little as you'd like, but I knew I wanted to add some pine cones, so I didn't do that many because I thought the pine cones would make it look really cute as well. Then to fill in the wreath a little bit more, I took some more of that garland twist and I just went around some more of the spots where I noticed that it needed more fluffing and more filling, and it just made it look really great once you go all the way around with it. Okay, so these pine cones, they don't sell at the Dollar Tree, but you can find them at your local park when you go for walks, especially around this time of year because they start to fall. If your pine cones are closed, there are all kinds of tips online where you can put them in your oven to help them open up and to kill off any germs or bacteria. We have had these forever, so I've been saving them in bags and they were already open. So I hot glued mine on into place. And then this is the fun part, I think, of this whole project. I took some white paint and went over the pine cones and the Christmas, tree twist wraps that they sell at the Dollar Tree, and I just lightly tapped everything to make it look like snow had settled on this wreath. And then you can sprinkle some glitter as you go if you want glitter, and if not, the white paint looks just pretty too. And then you're going to take the white paint as well, and I went over the snowman's brim of his hat and the top of the hat just to make it look all cohesive and looking like it was out in the snow. And then this ribbon garland was from the Dollar Tree as well. I love this ribbon so much. It's a little bit messy when you're working with it because it has like a thick glitter on it, and it can kind of fall off as you're moving it around, but it is so pretty. It's on a mesh ribbon form, so I loved it. So I tied myself a bow and then attached that to the bottom of my wreath, and I used another one of those twist garland ties to be able to really keep it in place. And here you go, the finished look.
Please give this video a thumbs up because it helps out my channel and it means so much to me.
Up next, we're going to work on a yarn snowflake. The reason why I love doing these is because you can make your snowflakes much bigger in size, and the design, you can do whatever you want with popsicle sticks. So I decided to go with a really simple pattern just to show you how to do them. I took 5 popsicle sticks, brought them into the center at a start point, and then took some little pieces that I just snipped with my scissors and glued them down. Now it's better to glue both sides because as you can see it's a little bit weak when you only glue one side, so I flipped it over, made sure all of the pieces, if they're loose, are in place, and then I'm going to take 2 more pieces of trimmed popsicle sticks and glue them on, and now it's going to be really sturdy and ready for you to put yarn all over it. I also wanted to add some little flurries at the top of the popsicle sticks so it looks even more like a snowflake, because as of right now it just looks like a star. And then you'll notice that I put 1 popsicle little flurry stem on one side, and then I went on the underside that way so it doesn't get too bulky on one side, and it just works better that way. After you've gotten all that done, you're going to take your yarn and then you're just going to start wrapping your snowflake. Now this is kind of brainless doing this, so this is a good thing to do while you're watching a movie. You wrap a whole bunch of sections, put some hot glue, wrap a little bit more, put some more hot glue, and you're just doing this so that it's nice and secure and it has a nice finished look when you're done and things aren't moving or shifting on you over time. When you start to get up to the top of the snowflake, you're just going to want to slow down a little bit to make sure you get the ends covered nicely. But overall, I just think this looks so cool once it's all finished. Then when you get to the end of one snowflake stem, you're just going to go back down the snowflake and then work your way out to the next stem. And when you're all done, this is the completed look. The next DIY is a little more labor intensive, but a really fun one to try if you don't already have a little house for your nativity scene. So what I did was I took my tallest ornament, which was my wise man, and I figured out the roof line at the center point and how tall and wide I needed the back baseboard to be. Once I had that all measured out, I took my X-Acto knife and I cut. Now we're going to figure out the sides of the house or the manger, and you're going to take another piece of foam cord and you are going to create your cut lines, and then you are going to cut those as well. And you're going to need 2 of those, one for each side of the walls. And then once you've got all of your lines in place, again, you're going to just simply cut them. Now we're going to work on the roof. We're going to go to the tip top point and then have a little bit of a hangover, and that's going to let us know how long we need that piece to be. And then we're going to decide also how thick we want it to be. I want it to be as the same thickness but a little bit hangover of my side walls. Then go ahead and cut as well. I'm going to have a printable link down below with all of the size of my manger scene, so that way you guys can cut them and figure out those dimensions that you need without having to have me do them all on here, and maybe you might miss one. So if you want to make this, there will be a printable link down below. Next, what you're going to do is you are going to take the thicker popsicle sticks that you pick up at the Dollar Tree, and you're going to need 2 packs of these. And you're going to cut off the rounded parts. You don't want those parts because we want to create that backwood wall. And then once you've got the top and the bottom cut off, you're just going to hot glue them into place, going all the way across that back wall of your manger house. And once you've got everything all hot glued into place, you're going to work on the top part. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the popsicle stick, you're going to lay it down, you're going to flip it over, mark it, and then cut it. And you're going to keep doing that so that you get the right measurements going all the way across. I found this part so fun to do. It took me a little bit of time to do it just because you're cutting popsicle sticks and gluing them into place. But total time it took me to go all the way across this whole board was about 20 minutes. And like I said, I just had really fun doing it. I put on some music and I just enjoyed working on this project. It's really fun to have something like this in your home because it's a forever keepsake. And I'm going to show you girls how to build this really sturdy so it lasts forever. Then after you're all done doing the popsicle sticks on one side, you're going to take some drop cloth or whatever fabric you have on hand, and you're going to hot glue on to the back of it. Now I am just hot gluing directly on, and then I flip it over, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut off and get that nice clean line without worrying about cutting it wrong or cutting too small or having to create a pattern. It's not necessary. I just use my scissors and cut along just like this. Now we're going to work on figuring out the walls. So we're going to take some more popsicle sticks, and we're going to create that cut line again, and then just hot glue it into place. And you are going to do that on both sides, on the inner side of the house and the outer side of the house. This is going to create a really store-bought finish, and anybody who sees this is going to assume that you bought it at a store. Once you've got both sides covered, just like this, we're then going to have a nice finished piece. You're going to take the skinnier popsicle stick, you're going to cut the rounded parts off again, and then you're going to hot glue it down. Now because they're not all the way long enough, you're going to need to have an extra piece on there, and you're going to just measure it and cut off the excess that you don't need to give it that nice finished look. And you're only going to do this on one side. You're not doing it on both sides of those, because the other one is going to go into the manger back wall. Now that you've got everything all glued on, you're going to go ahead and add your side wall to the back wall. Make sure you use a lot of hot glue, hold it in place, and give it time to dry. And then use some supportive glue on the inner parts of the wall to make sure that it's on there nice and sturdy. Then you're going to take another thick popsicle stick, and you are going to glue that on the back wall, just like I'm doing here, connecting into the side wall. This is going to be a great support piece for your wall so that there's no issues with it breaking over time. And you're just going to push that down into place and allow it to dry. And again, you're going to notice that it's too short to go all the way across the whole thing, so you're going to have to repeat that step of creating a smaller piece in there. Now for the roof, we're only going to do the inside of the roof and not the outside. And you can see here I put on my popsicle sticks, and then once you've got those all done, remember you're not going to do the top of those. You're going to go ahead and hot glue the roof on to the little house. Make sure you use a lot of hot glue so it really stays in place and you don't have any issues with it over time. And then once you've got it all hot glued on, you're then going to take some more hot glue on the inside, put a long line of hot glue, use an extra popsicle stick, and rub it into place. You want to make sure you do this because it doesn't make it look all clumpy and it looks, again, store-bought. And you're also going to do it on the sides. Basically, anywhere there's a seam, you're going to be doing that. Now take some brown paint and go over the very top of the little roof. You're going to paint a nice thick coat of brown paint on. It doesn't have to be super perfect, and you only really need one coat of this, and this is basically to help hide any white that might pop through when we put the Spanish moss all over the top. So now you're going to use the hot glue, and you are just going to keep pressing down this moss greenery stuff. I forgot what this is called, but again, this comes from the dollar floral section, and you're just going to keep adding it on to your desired look. Now I wanted to have a lot on my roof. I just thought it looked really pretty having a whole bunch on there, so I'm just adding in more and more hot glue and more of this stuff. And luckily when you're pulling it out of the bag, it actually comes in woven strips almost. You just kind of have to pull off the excess that you don't want, or you can even cut it, and then you just keep massaging it down and getting it into place to make sure that it doesn't come up over time. Once you've gotten all the way across the whole rooftop, you're going to go ahead and give it a haircut. This seems to be the haircut video because we also gave our topiaries haircuts, but you're going to go ahead and give the roof line a haircut as well if there's anything hanging over or you didn't want to have it look the way that it looked. I think giving it a haircut versus pulling it is the best method. Then we're going to work on darkening the wood sticks. So I just took some brown paint and some water, and watered it down, and I'm just going to go over it a few times to make sure it has a really nice wood look. We want it to kind of look rustic, not too dark, because I feel that that'll take away from the beauty of the figurines that are going to go inside of it. So I went over it twice with my brown paint and water wash to give it that look that I was looking for. Once it's all painted and dried, you're then going to work on the base. And we didn't cut this out earlier because I wanted to be able to make sure I had a right base size that would really make it stand up and look really nice on a table. So once I had my piece cut out for the length and the width that I wanted, I then took some hot glue and some more of my drop cloth and just glued that on. And then I flipped it over and then pulled that fabric over nice and tight and hot glued that into place. Once I did that, I took my scissors and I just cut around the sides, and then to finish off that seam line, I put some hot glue on the foam core and then just pulled it in and patted it all down into place. I wanted the edges to look a little rough, so that worked out perfect when I did it that way. Now what we want to do is take our scissors and create 2 strip holes, because we want the actual foam core to be touching each other when we put the walls down. This is going to make it really stay strong without it breaking and having any issues. Then again, use another one of that long strips of supportive hot glue and just take your hot glue with the popsicle stick and rub it across. And then to finish off the back, do the same thing, add some hot glue and then press it all down into place, allowing everything to dry. Friends, this project cost me $5 to make. I just think everybody should try to make one. They're so fun. I know it's labor intensive, but I just love how it turned out. Taking a strip of red felt fabric, you're going to create a scallop edge on one side and the other side's going to be flat. Now I've been making these flowers for years, and friends, I never make my scallops perfect, so don't be afraid as you're cutting this. They don't have to be perfect. The thickness of this flower is just a little under 1 inch. Then once you've got that all cut out, you're going to take a bead of hot glue and you're just going to start to roll it in. You're going to notice as I'm rolling, what makes the flower look even prettier is you kind of pinch the fabric as you're rolling it in. You do not want the scallops to perfectly line on top of each other as you're scrolling in, because then it just looks like a bunch of scallops. You want them to be off-centered from each other. And then at the end, you're just going to bring that tail in and rough up the flower. I always like to smush it and play around with the petals to really fluff it up. Now here comes the glam part of this little rose, this little flower. I'm going to take some hot glue and just drop in a pearl bead that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now you can skip this part if this is not your thing, but I thought it was so pretty. It looks like frost had settled on this rose. So I'm going to take some Mod Podge and then I'm going to take some sugar glitter and I'm just going to sprinkle it all over, and when it dries it looks like glass. It is just the prettiest thing ever. And now I'm going to move on to my little holly leaves. I'm going to just take a piece of green fabric, fold it in half so I don't have to do this twice. And then I'm creating little scallops, turning my scissors outward. So there are 3 divots in on each side, as you can see here. And then once those were cut out, I'm going to put some Mod Podge on those as well, and some more of that glitter sugar all over it, because I just think it looks so pretty. Now this next part, this has been around forever. It's nothing new, but I love pinwheels, and so what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking a piece of text paper from a dictionary and I'm creating a zigzag fold back and forth until I'm all the way to the end, and then I'm just going to glue the sides, the ends together, push it down, and it's already a pleated pinwheel, which is just going to be the cutest thing ever on this ornament. I'm going to take that Mod Podge once again, put it on the edges, dip it in that glitter, and then add it to a Dollar Tree snowflake. These come 3 in a pack at the Dollar Tree, so these ornaments are super cost efficient to make. They are so beautiful when you make them in bulk and put them on the trees. Then once I put down my pleated pinwheel, I smushed it down just a little bit because I love that rough look to it. It's got that more of that farmhouse feel. Put some more hot glue and add it on my flower as well as my leaves. To make the leaves stand up a little bit better, I like to put a tiny dot of hot glue on the stem part of it, pinch it together, and it just, for whatever reason, it makes it stand up a little bit better. And then the finishing touch, I'm going to just tie a gingham bow and put that down at the bottom of the ornament. I think that this makes it look so farmhouse chic. I just love this ornament so much. I'm going to take these 3 Christmas ornaments that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to snip off the little string that's at the top of them because we won't be needing that. Once you get those all snipped off, you're then going to take your dowel sticks that you're also going to get from the Dollar Tree, and you are going to insert it into the bottom of the first one. Some of the noses can pop off on these, so make sure you secure a little bit of hot glue on them just to make sure they don't come off in the future. And then you're going to take your scissors and you're going to snip off a little bit of that dowel stick just so that it doesn't have to go so far down into the next snowman. Once you got those in place, you're going to take some hot glue and make sure that the rod does not slide out anymore. It'll just stay nice and snug in place. For the very last snowman, you're actually going to cut off the bottom of his butt. That way so he sits flat on our little surface that we're going to create in a few minutes. Once you have that cut off and you know that it's nice and flat, you're going to take another stick, and this one is going to go into the top of that snowman's head and then up into the bum of the other 2 snowmen, and then you're going to hot glue them into place. This seriously takes seconds to do. It's super fast, and I just think that this is turning out so cute already. Very whimsical and cute for Christmas. Then you're going to take a piece of foam core board, and I cut a 4 by 4 inch square. Take your X-Acto knife and cut out a small hole in the bottom of that stand. And the reason why you're going to do this, it's going to help that dowel stick stay in there nicely when you hot glue it all into place. Then once you've got all your little snowman on your stand, you're going to take some Mod Podge and you're going to take these little snowballs. Beware, they go everywhere, but it is just so cute and it was really fun to make. Now I'm going to create a little box around. Instead of having a sandbox, it's going to be a snow box. Get it? Cut off the ends of the popsicle sticks that you don't need, add some hot glue, and then put them around all 4 sides of your little square base. This is going to help all of those snowballs stay in, and you're not going to have any issues with them coming off in the future. I've said it before, but I really like creating DIYs that have really great quality to them because, you know, it just makes it look more store-bought. So after I've gone around all 4 sides, I like to take a little extra hot glue and I'm going to put them in the crevices of all of those corners inside the box. That way so they're really secure. Now this is the fun part. You are going to just take some more hot glue and just keep filling it all inside of that box, building up those snowballs. The hot glue is going to hold them in place for long term, and then you just keep dumping it back onto the plate, repeating it over and over again. To give it a nice finished look, I'm going to take this glitter ribbon, also from the Dollar Tree. All of these supplies came from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put it right there around the base of the box. These little jars are over in the kitchen section. I love that they have a little handle. It's like a mini version of a mason jar. And then I found these little deers at Walmart and these trees from Amazon. And then the snow, again, that came from the Dollar Tree. You're going to take one of the trees, add some hot glue to it, push that towards the back of the jar, and you're going to make sure you're not doing it at the bottom. You're going to lay the jar flat on its side. You're going to place your tree where you'd like it to be, and then you're going to take some glue, put the glue in first, and then put the deer in. And keep in mind the glue does dry pretty quick because you're putting it on glass. It has a tendency to dry quicker, but this will keep you from burning your fingers trying to put it on the deer's feet and get it in. Once you've got your deer in place, hot glue the back of his leg down. Then you're going to take these little foam balls. Beware, they go everywhere, but they're really cute when you use them on ornaments. And then some of this shredded snowflake, and you're just going to put that right inside of your jar. Then add a little bit of hot glue to the lid and twist it on, and do that quickly because it can dry fast. That'll help it lock in place. Then I took some twine, I went around the handle, tied a simple loop knot at the top, and then I held it up to make sure that it's going to hang in the right spot. I didn't want the twine to be in the wrong spot before I hot glued it. I want it to look center when I hang it on my tree. And then as you can see, I'm just hot gluing everything into place. And then to finish the look, I'm going to add another cute gingham bow. This nutcracker ornament is super cost efficient. I'm going to take 5 popsicle sticks with some black paint and paint half of the popsicle sticks with black paint. This is going to be the top part of the hat. Hold them all in place as you're painting them to make sure that the distance that you're painting down is not too far into where his face is going to be. And then make sure you also paint around the sides of it so that it's covered really well. Then for the brim of his hat, I'm going to take another popsicle stick and just snip off the rounded parts and to make sure it's the right length for his hat. And because my tree is going to be a green themed tree, I am using the color green, but you can paint this whatever color you would like. Then while that paint is drying, I'm going to go and move on to doing his face. Now I'm going to use a Sharpie marker to initially start, but you're going to see in a little bit I'm going to come back in with paint. And I do have a regret doing it this way because, friends, I should have waited for that green popsicle stick to dry so I can glue the sticks all down and in place. You can see that it's shifting around, so just be patient and make sure the paint dries before you draw on the mustache and the eyebrows. See how it's shifting around? I was struggling with this a little bit, and as I was going, I kept thinking, oh, I should have just been patient and waited for the green stick to dry. Then once the stick was dry, I was able to add it and hold it all into place and move on to the next part, which is going to be the back side. I flipped it over and I took 2 more sticks just to help stabilize it so that it's nice and strong quality ornament versus it being that it looks like you did a craft project at home. I like my ornaments and my DIYs to look really well made. So then when I flipped it over and the hot glue was all held in place with these sticks, I went ahead and took some of that black paint and went back over it again, like I said, and just filled in some of those spots that I missed because of the sticks shifting around, and I should have been patient. Then at the bottom of his eyebrows, you're going to make 2 lines. Now this is going to be where you draw in his eyeballs with the paint. I took the back side of my paintbrush because I just liked the thickness of that and felt that it was in more control than the bristles on my brush. And I just made 2 whites of his eyes. So I'm going right up to the line. It's almost even a half circle. It's not a full circle. And then for his mouth, I took some red paint and drew a line down at the bottom. And you're going to see that I'm going to flip over my brush again. I actually use the back side of my paintbrush all the time when I'm painting for little areas that are kind of tricky that paintbrushes don't let me get into. Then while that's drying, I moved on to his nose. I took the end of a popsicle stick and just put that right on where the mustache is between his eyes and got that into place. And then when the paint was still drying, it wasn't ready yet, I moved on to the feather at the top of his hat. So again, I'm using green for our home, and these feathers also came from the Dollar Tree, a huge pack of them. There was all sorted colors inside of them, so it was really fun to pick out the one that would work best for my decor in my home. I took another spot of hot glue. This time it's a bigger dollop of it so that the bead, when I push it down, the glue is going to kind of push out around this pearl because I want to glam it up just a little bit, not too crazy. I'm going to take some really thick coarse glitter that I found at Target that I just loved, and I'm going to just sprinkle that on that spot of that hot glue so it kind of makes his hat look a little fancy. Now going back to his face, I made the blue part of his eyeballs and then took little white dots and added those to the eyeballs, and then on his teeth I just made little white teeth. This is my favorite part for sure on this ornament. I took some fluffy fabric. Now I got this at Joann's, but you could just go to the Dollar Tree where they have their towels and pick up one of their towels. This will work really well on this part too. And on the back side I glued them down first, then put a bead of glue and then wrapped it around the front of his face. These nutcrackers are so cute, and you can make them with all different colors to match your tree and your decor. And then at the top, so that it can hang up, you're just going to take some twine, which I also got from the Dollar Tree, and you're going to just hot glue it into place. This next DIY I have been dying to show you all. So here's the scoop. These trees from the Dollar Tree look so skimpy, but I'm going to show you how to make them look fuller, not using the long garlands. I'm actually going to take two of the trees and put them together. So first what you're going to do is you're going to take some wood, and you don't have to do that, but I really like the wood base. You're going to pop off this plastic piece, and then you're going to take all of the bristles and you're going to flatten them over to one side, that way so that if you laid it down flat on the table, you could obviously tell that there were no branches going that way. Here's a shout out to my buddy Jessica from Measure and Mix. She did a video a couple weeks ago where she took the bristles and she pulled them down to make them look more like a pine tree versus a Christmas tree, and it completely blew my mind. So after I saw her do that, I had this idea, what if I take two of them, flatten it, and then put them together with zip ties? So now that I've got it all flat and you can see that it's flat, I'm now going to take the other tree, put them together, and zip tie them. Now you don't have to use a garland wrapping around it, and it just makes it look so full and beautiful. Now we could leave it like this, or we can take it another step further, and I'm actually going to flock this little tree. I've made a bunch of these. I'm going to put them all throughout my house. Now for that wood base, you're just going to drill some holes and then fill it with hot glue. But again, you don't have to do this. You actually can put the stand back on one of the stems of that tree, and it works just as well. So once I've got that all hot glued in place, I'm then going to move on to flocking. So here's the scoop with the flocking. I tried it with paint, and then I also tried it with just flocking by itself. I found that it looked really pretty if you lightly add paint onto the branches of the tree and then flocked it. I actually don't have that. I didn't think to film that for some reason, but it looks so pretty when you paint the branches first and then flock it. Now flocking is really easy. I will link down below where I purchased my flock from, but you basically wet your tree and then you sprinkle it on. And I would like to recommend using a spoon because my hands got really dirty really quick. Once you're all done flocking your tree, you're just going to take your spray bottle and spritz it a couple more times to lock in the glue that is inside of the flocking, and it will seal it to the tree. For our next ornament, we are going to take this flat circle ornament and you are going to put some paint inside of it. I think this is the coolest idea because you can use any color that you want and customize your ornaments to your Christmas tree style. Once you've got that paint all inside, you're then going to take a tissue or a wipey or whatever, and you're going to pat off the excess paint from the ornament out onto that. That way so it'll help it dry quicker. Then go ahead and put the top back on and take this burlap ribbon that they sell at the Dollar Tree. It is over in their floral section where they have a lot of their other ribbons, and you're going to cut a smaller strip of it so it fits nicer on the ornament. Then you're going to take some hot glue and just simply glue it all in place so that it stays. And once you've gone all the way around the whole ornament, you're then going to move on to this really pretty, I fell in love with it the second I saw it, this beaded garland that they have that comes in white and it comes in red. And I decided to go with the red since I'm going with the Christmas farmhouse look. And then you're just going to add some hot glue and wrap it around twice. You could only go around once, but I love the look of wrapping around twice. I felt like it just looked fuller and more substantial than versus going around just once. When you get to the very end of circling it around twice, you're going to take the piece that you left hang over a little bit and where you're stopping, and you're just going to twist your ornament around in about 2 circles and then bring those wires down. Now you could leave it like this where it's just got the one set of little stem legs coming down, or you can thicken it up a little bit more, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this smaller piece that's sitting over to the left, and I'm going to fold that in half and twist the ends up just like I did on this other part that I wrapped around the ornament, and glue that right into place. I feel like doing that makes it look so much fuller and store-bought. Once you've got that hot glued into place, take a little bit of ribbon. I picked this ribbon up at Walmart. I had a really nice spool of it and I just love it. So you're going to see it a lot in my videos this season.
Now for this ornament, you are going to take another one of those paper pinwheels, some glitter and some Mod Podge, and I am going to use the thicker coarse glitter this time. I want to really glam up this one. I'm going to take my pleated pinwheel and just dab that into the Mod Podge. This is my favorite way to do it so that I don't have to get brushes dirty or my fingers really dirty. And then I'm going to just take that glitter and just tap it right inside and really get a nice coverage of glitter on this paper pinwheel. And then once that is all done, I'm going to just take my Dollar Tree snowflake. This snowflake comes with 5 snowflakes in the pack, so this one is even more cost efficient. It is super cheap to make this ornament. And then once I've got a nice dollop of hot glue, I'm just going to put down that little circle. Doesn't that look so pretty already, you guys? I just love this one so much. Now you're going to take my printable again, and this time you're going to take this circle and you're going to cut it around the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't worry about freehanding it. If you have a punch, that'll work too. But you're going to just take some more of that Mod Podge, and this time instead of using the coarse glitter, I actually decided to use the sugar glitter. I just liked the way it looked a little bit more to have that different glitter look to it. So I'm going to just take some of that glitter and tap my little picture of these little carolers right inside, and then tap it off and hot glue it into place. And then this is the special part of the ornament. I've never seen anybody do this in an ornament before, and I thought this would be really fun. So I took a strip of this cardstock that says, "Come and behold him." We're super religious in our home, so our Christmas theme really is focusing on the Savior's birth. So I'm going to take this strip of paper and I'm going to just twist up the ends, like scrolling it up into that quote.
And then I'm going to do it on the other side. I'm going to go the opposite direction, just scrolling it up. And then once it's scrolled up, I'm just going to kind of rough up that paper a little bit to make sure it's kind of wavy and glue it right on to the ornament so it looks like a little scrolled piece of paper. The next project we're going to work on is more supplies from the Dollar Tree, except for these little trees. I picked those up at Amazon and I will link them down below. You're going to take your jar, take the lid off, and then we're going to be using this Merry Christmas ornament. There are 4 in a pack, but we only need 1 for today. You're going to snip off that little twine string that they have on there, and then we're going to start by hot gluing in our trees first. So I had a hard time reaching all the way towards the back, and if you do too, you can take some scissors and then just push it down into place. I decided to put 2 trees towards the back and then the Merry Christmas sign in the middle and then 1 tree in the front. Now if you missed it, this is also on that playlist that I'm going to link down below. I made a much smaller version of this and they're a little bit different as a Christmas ornament, and they are just the cutest ornaments to make to give out to people for gifts. As well as this. This is just such a cute little shake jar, and it keeps kids super entertained because you can put all sorts of little goodies inside of it. Once I've got the Merry Christmas in place and the other 2 trees in the back, I went ahead and hot glued in my tree in the front. And then this is the really fun and super easy thing to do. You're going to take some snow from the Dollar Tree. This is just shredded little pieces of plastic, and then you're going to take in the foam balls, pour as much in as you desire, and then you're going to hot glue the lid in place. So I put on the cap first, and then I put hot glue on the neck of the jar, and then just screwed it down into place. And this is going to keep it from coming off. I am going to take a clear plastic ornament ball, took off the top of it so I can hold it with my finger inside there. It makes it easier to work with. And then you're going to pick the color yarn that you'd like, and you are just going to keep putting dollops of hot glue on it, and then you're just going to keep wrapping your yarn. And this does not take long at all to do. I actually really enjoyed doing this. I thought this was really fun to do. And the more you keep wrapping it, your goal is to avoid any spots where you can see the ornament. You want it to be covered completely with the ball. So you're going to see that I'll catch my momentum, I'll get going in a circle, and then I'll stop and change directions, put a piece of hot glue again, and then just keep wrapping it again until I make sure I've covered up all of those spots. When you get to the end, you're going to snip off your yarn and then just tap down that piece and make sure it stays in place. This next part is super fun and whimsical. You're going to take toothpicks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take 2 for the ornament, and then they have this beaded red berry floral at the Dollar Tree. I popped off 2 of these little balls that they have on it, put some hot glue on it, and then took that end of the popsicle stick and shoved it into the berry. Now you're going to notice when you pop them off that the red does come off. So I'm going to take some red paint and just make sure that everything is all painted nicely. I also decided to paint the top part of the ornament just because I thought it would be really cute to go with the needles for knitting. Then once it was dry, I took my knitting needles and I stuck them into the yarn and hot glued them into place and added the top on. These are all of our supplies that we're going to be using today from the Dollar Tree. We are making topiary Christmas decor. So you're going to take the gold ball and you're going to cut off that little stem that the ornament can hang from. and create a hole large enough for a dowel stick that you're also picking up from the Dollar Tree and hot glue it into place. Then move on to the clear ornament by removing the wire that's on the top cap. Hot glue it down into place, and then using your scissors you're going to push down into one of the holes, creating a large enough hole for another one of those little sticks, and then you're going to hot glue it into place. Once everything has dried and it's nice and sturdy, you're going to move to the opposite side of the gold ball. Using your scissors, punch a hole and then clip around to make it a little bit bigger for the size that you need for your stick, and then put them together and hot glue them into place. While those continue to dry for a few extra minutes, I'm going to move on to making the actual container that they're going to go down into. It's just some foam that you pick up from the dollar section and a glass container. Then, using the garland that they have at the Dollar Tree, you're going to coil and hot glue on this garland that is just $1 for 15 feet, and I used 2 of them, 1 for each ball. And the reason why I did that is because you really want it to be nice and thick and lush and look like it's store-bought. So take your time on this one and just keep coiling it around, putting a bead of hot glue, and then pull it again and keep pulling things back so that way you don't have any issues with it looking flat or funny and not looking store-bought. Once you've got it all coiled on, you're then going to take your scissors and give it a haircut. Beware, this is super messy. You can see it on my face that I think it's super messy, just because these things go everywhere, but the look and the result is going to be so beautiful. It's worth it. Once you finish giving it a haircut, you're then going to take some fabric of your choice. I'm using a drop cloth, and then you're just going to glue up the 4 sides first, and then at the corners you're going to pleat it into place and pulling it all nice and tight, gathering it at the neck. And then I took some of this burlap ribbon that they also have at the Dollar Tree in their floral section, and you're just going to tie a little knot and making sure that you move it around to the look that is desirable to you, and then hot glue on some greenery and a poinsettia flower. Now for this next ornament, Miriam kept calling this mistletoe, and we're going to just go with that. So these are your supplies you're going to be needing. Everything came from the Dollar Tree except for this little boxwood stem that I cut off of a vine that I have in my home year round. You're going to take 2 pieces of twine, and you are going to just thread them through, 1 on each of those jingle bells, and tie them at the center point. And you're going to do this for both of the jingle bells because we're going to have them hanging together, but the trick is you want one to be hanging a little bit longer than the other one. So I recommend maybe cutting a piece of twine that is maybe 11 inches long and then one that is 9 inches long, so that you can see that they're off-centered. And then you're going to hold them in your hand to make sure you've got your placement. Hold that twine, don't let it go, wrap it around your finger once and pull all those end fibers of the twine through the hole and make yourself your knot. And then once you've got that done, you're going to just take your scissors and cut off the excess because you don't need any of that extra stuff. It's just going to make it look messy if you leave it on there. Once you've got that in place and those are cut, you're then going to take the jingle bells and you are going to pull them apart so you have that center point where the knot is. And then I love these things. I've been using them this whole Christmas decorating season. These are just garland twist ties, and you can pick these up at the Dollar Tree, and there are a ton inside of a pack. Beware though, when you cut them, they make a mess. So go ahead and cut off a little piece of that, and then you're going to hot glue right at the center point, and you're just going to fold it over. And then I'm hoping that this is going to show well on the camera, but I'm just going to twist it around because we want it to be looped around in there all together so it's nice and snug. And like, this is the reason why Miriam keeps saying that they look like mistletoe. You're going to give it a little haircut up at the top because, again, these things can get a little crazy and bushy sometimes. And then now we're going to take a little piece of twine because we need our hang-up point again for our tree. Or if you want to hang this above your door, how cute could this be? You're going to just make your little loop, and then here is that beaded garland again. Girls, I love this beaded garland so much. I can't even express how much I love it. So I'm going to put some hot glue, and then I'm just going to twist it around to the front and then do a little twist, and this just helps everything stay in place really nicely, and you don't have anything wrong going on, falling off over time. Before I twisted it, I took my boxwood little stem right here and I pulled back the first top two, and then I'm going to sneak that beaded garland right underneath it, and I'm going to do a little twist and a little twist. And this is going to keep everything staying so well in place, and it's never going to fall apart on you, and it's going to last for years to come. And then at the very end of those beaded garland, I'm going to take that and just twist it to create a little bit of a curly cube look. I just like the way it looks. I don't know, that's just me personally. And then once you've got those all twisted up, you're going to finish the look off with a little white bow, and it just looks so darling, ready to kiss people under it. You're going to take some clothespins from the Dollar Tree, pop off their springs, and back the two flat sides together. Once you've done that 8 times, you're going to be ready to assemble a snowflake. Now this pack of clothespins can make 4 large snowflakes, and it is just the prettiest thing ever. So farmhouse, so pretty. You're then going to take them at their little flat corners and glue them together just like this. I like to hold them for about 5 seconds before I let go of them to make sure the hot glue has dried in place. Once you've done 4 of them and they all fit together, you're going to do that one more time, the same exact step. Then once you've got another set of 4 glued together, you're then going to put a really nice helping of hot glue on that circle middle part, and then off center them and glue them together. Then to finish the look so you can hang it up, you are going to take some twine and hot glue it into place. Now you can leave these raw wood or you can paint them. Aren't they so pretty? This next DIY, I found the inspiration on Pinterest, and I wanted to give it a try so that way you girls can all recreate it yourselves, because I just thought it was so cute. I took 2 blocks of 2x4. One was a little bit taller than the other one. One was 12 inches high and the other one was 9 inches high. And then I'm just going to paint with green and actually pink. Now you could do red, but I loved the inspiration photo where it had pink, and I thought it just looked really cute because you can add the red and it makes it just look, I don't know, really pretty. So once you've got the green and the pink painted on, you're then going to go to the top on the other side and paint 1/4 of it black. And that's going to be for the hat on the nutcracker, and repeat the process on the pink. Then you're going to need to mix orange and white to get a nice peachy color for the face of the nutcracker, and then you're just going to go around the sides and the front. You're not going to need to go around the back because that's going to be covered with hair. Technically, you don't even need to go on the sides, but I just, again, I like to make things look store-bought, and so I thought, well, let me just do it anyway. Plus, I really like painting. Once those all dry, you're going to take that glittery red ribbon, again from the Dollar Tree, and you're going to go around the top of the hat of the Nutcracker. Now the trick is you want to make sure that you're showing a little bit of that black paint because it's going to make it look like his hat brim. Then I'm going to take some really thin white ribbon I also got at the Dollar Tree, and I cut them small in size to fit. I don't have the exact measurement on this one, but you're going to create 4 of those, hot glue them down into place, and then you are going to move on to the hair of the Nutcracker. Now you're going to take some of this car cleaning fabric that you can get in the car section of the Dollar Tree, cut a strip of it off, and then you're going to just work on hot gluing around the Nutcracker. Now as I'm putting it on, I'm actually folding it under so it has a nice finished look, and then I'm going to just keep going all the way around. When I get to the end, I'm going to make sure I go all around, and then I'm going to fold it all in just like so and hot glue it into place. This fabric is super fuzzy and fluffy, so it's really great for the Nutcracker's hair and his little goatee. Then I added some buttons that I had on hand. You can use whatever you want on this, some little bling pieces, some buttons, brads, whatever you might want to add to it. Now we're going to move on to its face. First you're going to draw a line for his brow area and then come down for his nose, which is a rectangular shape. At that stage you're ready to move on to his mustache. It goes right underneath his nose, and you're just going to make sure the ends of that mustache is curled in because that is just so stinking cute. I love little mustaches on my Nutcrackers. Then for his mouth, it's just a rounded edged rectangle right underneath his mustache. Then for his eyes, I use the back of my paintbrush all the time for circles. I just like it so much more. It's really easy to do it this way. So I'm just going to add some white right underneath that brow line so that it can help me line up where I want the eyeballs to be. Then I move on to doing the teeth, also at the back of my paintbrush. I just got a little bit on there and then slowly made the teeth lines. Now to help the eyes stand out a little bit more, you're going to take your thin brush and you're just going to go right underneath the whites of the eyes, and with the back of the paintbrush again, do 2 dots for the eyes. Now I wanted to add a little bit more fluff on the Nutcracker's face, so I took another piece of the fabric and just kind of rolled it up, as you can see here, and glued it down into place. Then using red, I'm going to make its rosy cheeks. And then to add a little bit more texture and pattern to it, because as of right now it's kind of plain, I took some of this gingham ribbon that I picked up from Walmart and then wrapped it around the top of the hat. Now don't forget the eyebrows. I actually almost forgot the eyebrows in filming them, and then I thought he looks kind of funny, there's something missing, and then I realized, oh wait, the eyebrows. When you're all done with the eyebrows, you're then going to do one last thing. You're going to create a line across the teeth to make it look like a nutcracker. I'm going to take this art canvas that you see all the time at your thrift stores. I ended up getting this 25% off, so it was even cheaper than $6. And what's crazy is that this once upon a time was $100, especially when you know when it's made out of. It's made out of MDF board. I thought that was so crazy that they charged $100 for it. Anyway, we're now going to go and move on to our Dollar Tree supplies. I'm going to be using 2 different types of stickers, some key tags, and these little buckets that we often don't know what to do with them other than party favors. You're going to take your white paint and go over one side of the canvas. You don't need to cover the full thing. This is just going to be this size right here. Once you've got it all painted white, put it to the side and let it dry. Then grab those buckets, 25 of them, and you're going to take out the handle that is on it with a pair of pliers. Then take your key tags, and you're also going to take 25 of those and remove all of the metal circles that are on the key tags. Grab those letter number stickers, and you're going to number them 1 through 25. Now these stickers do not have the best adhesive on the back of them, and so the better way to keep them on there long term is to take some Mod Podge, and you're going to simply go over every single one of them, making sure that they're sealed in really nicely and they won't peel up in the future. Once the white paint is dry, you're going to take your letters and you're going to center them on your art canvas. Don't stick them down all the way. You're just going to tap on the very top pieces, making sure they're spaced out nicely, so if you need to move some things around you can. And then once you get them the way you like them to be, you're then going to press them all down. Now comes the next part, which is the smelliest part. You're going to go outside, don't do it inside, with your spray paint, and you're going to go over it with several coats of red spray paint. This is going to take a little bit of time to dry, so once it does, take it back inside and pull off the paper at the back. That way it's going to expose all the wood and you're going to be able to see what you're working with. When you start to take up your stickers to reveal the white underneath it that you painted in the very beginning stages of this project, you might have some of the paint here and there pull up a little bit. If that is the case, take a paintbrush that is not valuable to you, spray some spray paint on a plastic bag, and then with that paintbrush you can touch up those spots with no problems at all. Now I loved the way this looks. You don't have to do it, but I just thought it was so cute. I took some white paint and it didn't have to be perfect. I just went over the edges with little white stripes to make it have that whimsical candy cane look to it. Once all your paint is dry, you're going to then take your little buckets and you're going to use some washi tape to create a drill guideline so that way you don't drill wrong or crooked. Take your washi tape and go across 3 strips and then put on your little buckets, figure out your spacing, take a pencil and mark where you're going to be drilling, and then with a drill bit you're then going to go through your canvas. Now you don't want to go through your table, so you're going to need to put down some type of a cutting mat, or you can go outside to your garage if you have a work table, but I don't have that, so I'm using my craft table and I'm just putting down a mat so that it catches the drill if it accidentally hits the table. Then take a ruler and you are going to line up that top drill and go all the way down your line. Because the number is odd, you are not going to have the exact same number all the way across 3 rows. In the middle row there will be 2 less buckets than the top and the bottom. Then simply repeat the same process and drill through all of those markings so that way you know where to put in your buckets and it will not splinter the wood. Go ahead and remove the washi tape and you will be left with all of the drill holes. Now the bucket has 2 different sides where the handles are. You do not want the one where the seam line is. You're going to want to take your tags and with some green twine that I picked up also from the Dollar Tree, you're going to hot glue it into place and then tie a cute little bow so that it all stays in place. And then to make sure the bow doesn't come untied, just take a little bit of hot glue and just dab it on the top and the bottom, and that way it'll stay forever. Then you're going to get your drill and your screws and you are going to simply screw all 25 buckets into place. It is so fun putting these on, and as I was getting more and more buckets on, I just loved how it looked. Once you've got all your buckets drilled on and in place, you're then going to stuff the buckets with all kinds of cute little goodies. Now I'm using tissue paper that I picked up from Target because I just liked the way that they looked, and you're going to fill each bucket with that tissue paper. Now last year I had a free printable. There's actually two of them, one that has scripture verses from the Bible and one that has service projects. So if you're interested in those, I'm going to link them down below, but they are free. You can download them and do them with your family throughout the Christmas season if you love to do advent calendars just as much as I do. You're going to take that tissue paper and you are going to cut a nice size square. I would say it's about an 8 by 8 that fits into these buckets. You're going to fill that tissue paper with the printouts that I gave you all for free and some candies and little treats inside each bucket. You are going to take 5 popsicle sticks, lay them out evenly spaced, and then you're going to take a 6th one and make it at an angle to create a roof line. These will slide a little bit because you're not hot gluing them in place, and then you're just going to create pencil lines so you know where to cut off the excess that you don't need. You're going to have 2 shorter ones, 2 taller ones, and then the popsicle stick that is in the center point, you're not cutting it at all. Once you've got all of those things cut out, you're ready to move on to assembling. And I just used my scissors because I found that it's easiest to cut them this way. Now, popsicle sticks with hot glue, when you put them on the wood, it dries really quickly. So I recommend only doing 1 dot at a time. It'll make your project look much better without having dried, caked on glue, and things will lay flat and even. So I'm doing them 1 at a time. I did the outer walls first, then I did the center point, and then I'm doing the middle sticks. I don't know what to call these, but basically the middles. And then to make it really strong and sturdy, I'm going to reinforce the back with some more hot glue and then another popsicle stick. This is going to lock the walls all into place and make it really high quality versus it just falling apart. Now we're going to work at the roof line. Take a popsicle stick and lay it at the top. Create that little line that you need, and then you're going to lay them on top of each other and you're going to trace it. And I like doing it this way because we're going to miter these edges together, and we want to make sure we have a perfect seamless miter edge. And so you can see when I put them next to each other, they're going to be the same size, and then when you flip it over and mirror the image, it creates a roof line. So I'm going to just add that hot glue really quick and get that roof line on so it doesn't dry, and make sure you leave enough room for both of that roof line at the very tip top to meet together on the middle stick. If you have any excess, make sure you wipe it away if it's cool enough to the touch. Otherwise you can use a popsicle stick to clean up any excess glue that spills out. Once you've got those in place, you're going to flip it over and then add 2 more of those miter corner roof lines to the other side so that it's really strong and sturdy, and again looks store-bought. Now I want to make it look even stronger and long-lasting and pretty, so I'm going to add some hot glue to the bottom, making sure I fill in any of those little holes. And this is great if you plan on painting it, but make sure you just clean up any excess glue with an extra popsicle stick. Now I decided to paint mine with some brown paint and watered it down to create more of a stained look versus a pigmented solid paint look. We're going to go ahead and move on to the star. I'm terrible at drawing stars, so I like to do the continuous line star, and then cutting it out is way easier than trying to create your 5 points yourself. I really struggle with that. Then I'm going to add just any color paint I have on hand that's light colored, and I'm going to sprinkle some glitter on it because why not? We want our star to be sparkly for baby Jesus. Once you've got that done, you'll let it dry to the side, and then you're going to take some twine and some hot glue, and you're going to create your little loop to be able to hang up your ornament on your tree. And it's really simple. You're just going to put a little hot glue up at the top peak, and it's going to just sneak right down in there between those popsicle sticks, And then you can add your star to the top. I'm super excited about this next ornament. I know that it might not be everybody's favorite, but I love these because I love the farmhouse look. So again, I'm going to create a big star template with a piece of computer paper, and I'm going to just keep sketching it until I like the way that the points look. But like I said, I just basically did that continuous line star look, and then I'm just going to keep fattening them up to make them look the right way, because even hand drawing these line stars, I stink at that too. So I'm just fattening it up again, and then I'm going to cut it out, and this is going to become the template for my next ornament. And I love these because they're really large in size. As you can see, they're about 8.5 inches wide because I'm using up the whole sheet of paper. Once you've got that all cut out, you're then going to lay it on 3 layers of fabric, and I'm using a white burlap. Just wait, I just think this is so pretty. You can embellish it as much as you want, but I went with a really simple look on mine because I feel like my tree already is going to be so intense with ornaments, and I just love the size that this is going to look on my tree. So go ahead and pin it down onto your 3 pieces of fabric, and once you cut it all out, you're going to be ready to assemble it. And this is going to be why we needed 3 pieces. The first 2 stars are going to glue on top of each other, and then the third one I'm going to show you in a minute what that's for. Now, because you're working on fabric, you have a little bit more time to work with hot glue, so go ahead and just go all the way around all of your edges, and then you're going to take that extra second star and you're going to lay it right on top. Once you've got that all glued down into place, you're ready to move on to the next part. Go ahead and add some more hot glue. But this time, where my hand is, I'm not going to be gluing that part because we are going to be stuffing these stars. And they're going to be these cute little squishy stars that are burlap to put on your tree. I just think these are so cute. Now you want to be able to hang it up, so go ahead and add a little twine loop at the top and then put down that star. Now you're going to take some batting and you're just going to simply shove that inside, and then to finish off the look, you're just going to seal the last of that fabric up with hot glue. Again, you can embellish these as much as you'd like, but I really loved the simple look, the simplicity of it, because I just think they're pretty on their own. For our next project, you are going to pick up one of these gift boxes. I think they're meant for wine. The Sonboul home does not drink wine, but I knew I wanted to use this for something else. It was the perfect height. So I went ahead and spray painted it. Once it was all spray painted, I gathered these other supplies, some buttons, some ribbon, this darling little hat from the Dollar Tree. It's actually an ornament, and I just cut off the ribbon at the top. Then you're going to go ahead and hot glue that down to the top of the box where you can pull the lid off. Once you've got that in place, go ahead and take one of the picks that they have at the Dollar Tree and just disassemble it and start hot gluing things on that you think look pretty. So I added on this greenery pine stem and also this pine cone. I just thought they looked really cute at the top. Then you're going to take some of this ribbon. I love this ribbon, but let me warn you, friends, this ribbon is really dangerous to work with when it comes to hot glue. So if you are going to do this as a family project, just know that you should use popsicle sticks to help push the ribbon down into place, because it's kind of a thin mesh with glitter all over it, and it will burn your fingers. It'll go straight through that mesh and just get you real bad. So keep that in mind when you're working with this ribbon, but it is just so sparkly and pretty. I love it, especially with the box being so crisp and white. So now you're gonna see me here working with a popsicle stick because it just works best to push this ribbon down into place. Then you're going to take some of this beaded garland that they have at the Dollar Tree as well. I love this stuff. I feel like I'm using it in every single video. And they have it in gold, white, and red. I feel like someone said silver, but I haven't seen it in silver. So if you have seen it in silver, maybe that's an option too. Then you're going to go ahead and just place your bow tails in the positions that you like. And then you're just going to hot glue little bits of them down, not completely. You just want to help add some height and some depth to your ribbon. And then get some hot glue and put on those darling buttons. Now I had enough buttons to do 3 up his tummy and 2 for his eyes, but then when it came to the smaller buttons, I could not find them, and I just decided that I was gonna DIY that, and I'm gonna show you in a second. So next we're gonna work on his nose. I took a piece of this burlap ribbon they have in their floral section at the Dollar Tree, and then I'm just folding it and adding hot glue. Folding it, adding hot glue. I'm thickening it up so that once it's nice and sturdy, I'm gonna cut that into the shape of a carrot. I really love the texture on this, and I just think it's so darling for his nose. Once you've got that all cut out and it's ready to go, you are then gonna take some orange paint and just lightly tap on the top of that burlap. Now I'm using my finger because I feel like this is not going to let too much get on it. I don't want it to be crazy orange. I just want it to be just lightly orange so that you know and get that it's his nose. And then you're just going to hot glue that into place. And I pointed my nose down because I wanted it to not collide with opening the box, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's go back to those little buttons. I found some small buttons in my kit. This is actually from a scrapbook button kit that I got years ago, and I'm gonna just paint them black. Once I've got them painted, I can go ahead and add on his face, but first, while they're drying, I decided to add a really pretty red bow with that same ribbon, and then I could do his little smile. So I went ahead and just did tiny little dots of hot glue, and then added on his smile. And here he is, all done. I am not the originator of this next idea, but I've seen these all over online, and I wanted to make my own version of them because I just think they're so pretty, and I wanted to add it to my tree. So again, all of these supplies came from the Dollar Tree except for the fabric and the boxwood stems that came from a vine. And to get started, you're going to take some twine. You're going to cut off the existing hanging gold ribbon that was on these ornaments from the Dollar Tree, and you're just going to make one with some twine. Now to get your measurement right, you're going to lay your ornament on your fabric. You're going to pull your fabric up to the side so you know how wide it needs to be cut, and then you can kind of eyeball by folding it over, knowing that you're going to need this size. Now this ornament that I picked up from the Dollar Tree is a 5-inch ball, but the fabric that I'm going to be cutting, I'm going to be making it bigger than that. I'm going to be going with a 14-inch wide square. So to hot glue it on, you're going to put one dot at a time, because again we're working with plastic and hot glue and it dries really quickly. I'm just gluing on these 4 corners first, the flat sides, and then where the points are, the peaks, I'm going to pull them in and just keep working and pleating it in and gluing it into place. Just like this. And you're going to continue it around all 4 sides, making sure that everything is pulled nice and tight, or nice and taut, as Martha Stewart likes to say. I never say it that way, but anyway, maybe some of you do. So I'm going to pull it in nice and tight, and then once everything is all nice and snug in there and glued down, you are then going to take some more, surprise, surprise, that white beaded garland. And I'm just going to hot glue it down into place first. I put a little dot there. I actually forgot to show that. And then I'm going to just keep twisting it around and pulling it nice and tight down where the little nub is, where you put that twine earlier. It kind of allows it to hold on there nice and tight. And then just hot glue a little bit more, twisting it all into place, and then you're ready to embellish this ornament a little bit more. So here I am again with my boxwood little stem leaves. I just think these are so pretty. I love the way these look for Christmas. And then after I've got 2 of them on there, I'm gonna just twist that down into place, making sure it locks it in really well, because these things, trying to glue them on fabric, do not naturally want to stay. They're just too bulky, and the materials just, I don't know, they don't want to lock into each other. And then I'm going to take some of these little berries that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. I didn't show it, I forgot to show that part, but I also twisted that on. And then once those were all hot glued and twisted into place, I took the ends of my beaded garland, and once again, on this ornament, like I did with the other one, I just twisted it up on my finger and then curly cubed it, stretched it out a little bit, and then just shaped it to the way I wanted. And then to finish the look, I added a bow onto the ornament, and voila, it is beautiful. The next ornament is a whimsical farmhouse ornament. I just think this thing is so stinking cute, and I'm so excited to share it. You're going to take these thicker popsicle sticks and you're going to snip off the rounded edges because you won't be needing that. Once you've got that done to 3 popsicle sticks, you're then going to take another popsicle stick and cut 2 small pieces and hot glue that down into place. This is going to help it be stronger and not fall apart. Then you're going to take some brown paint and water it down to create a stained look. Whenever you water down paint, it allows the wood to pull through, and it just looks so pretty. Once you've got that all painted and you're letting it dry, set it off to the side, and you're going to move on to these little letters that they have at the Dollar Tree. You can get this in their craft section that they carry these supplies, and this moss, this also comes from their floral section. You are going to take the letters J-O-Y to spell out joy, and then you're going to put hot glue all over that top wood surface. Don't burn your fingers because it's close to the edges. Once you've got a nice flat layer of moss, you're going to take your J and just put that right down into the moss, and then use your scissors to clip off any excess hanging over. That is going to create a really cute look on these letters, almost like a topiary. And then you're just going to take some twine that they also have in their craft section, hot glue some in place, and then glue the letters to the barn door. I decided to do a simple knot first, snip off the excess, and then I tied a bow and then hot glued that down into place. I just think this ornament is so cute, and it's really simple to make. Then once you are all done letting that side dry, hot glue on a little piece of twine for the handle. Your supplies you're going to need are 3 large red balls from the Dollar Tree, and then these 3 decor items that you can pick up for $1 each. Now, when I figured out that I could cut these ornaments, I knew right away that I wanted to turn this into a parachute so that I can have these 3 little items of Santa, the reindeer, and the penguin to be parachuting down from my ceilings. So it's really simple. Just take a pair of scissors and you're going to poke a hole into it, and then you're going to cut around in a circle. You want to keep the part that has the actual hanging part at the top, so that way you can use that later to hang up your decor. So you're going to take your Sharpie marker and you're now going to create scallops, but you're going to want to find the seam line on the ornament. It should be there really easy to see. And then at that beginning seam line, you're going to create scallops going over to the other side. You're going to do 4 in between each seam line. So you're going to see me do 1 and then 2, 3, and then the last one I go back over to the seam line, 4. And the reason why you're doing that is because you're going to want 4 on one side and 4 on the other side so that you have an even number, and then you're going to do 4 as well on the back side of the ornament. Once you've gotten all the way around with your Sharpie marker and you've created these scallops, you're then going to take your scissors and you're going to snip at the end points where the scallops meet, and you're just going to snip really easily. This plastic is super easy to cut. And then you're going to take your scissors and just work your way slowly and carefully up around that arch. And then you're going to just repeat that going all over the other scallops until they are all cut out and done. I really had a lot of fun doing this, and I think even kids could do this if you want to do a DIY with your grandchildren or even your children at home. I just think that these are so cool, and to be able to hang up in a children's room for holiday decor if you like to decorate their room or just put something a little special in their room. Once you've got it all cut out, it still looks a little too plain, so I decided to take some white paint, and then you're just going to go around the ornament. And this is the reason why you needed 8 scallops, because when you're done, you're going to have 4 white, and we're just going to say triangles. You're going to have 4 white scalloped triangles and then 4 red scalloped triangles. So when you're going around, just take your time, don't rush it. And I found that I wanted 2 coats of white paint. You could even do 3 if you really wanted it to be like a solid crisp white. There's something about this red spray paint on these balls that they do kind of peek through, so I do recommend doing 2 to 3 coats of white paint. Then once it's all dried and you like the way that it looks, you could leave it like this, or you can make it a little fancier. I'm going to take some glitter and decorate this and make it a little more special. But first, let's not forget the bottom side. So you're going to take some of the red paint that you have on hand, and then you're just going to quickly paint the inside of it. Now I liked 2 coats of red paint because I just felt like it covered it better. I'm always a fan of having a nice painting job so that it looks like a quality decoration versus something we DIY'd. So let that dry on the bottom, and then with some Mod Podge, you're going to take a really thick amount of it and go over only the white part of the parachute. Once you've got that on, you're going to then take some glitter and just sprinkle it all over, really covering it well, and then do the other 4 sides. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. Put it to the side to really let it dry, and while it is, go over and pick up your 3 little figurines, and you are just going to twist until the bottom part snaps right off. This comes off really easy. Next, you're going to take some rope from the Dollar Tree, and I've talked about this before in my other DIY videos, but I love this rope because you can use it at this thickness, or once you've got 3 cut, you're going to need 3 of these. Once you've got them cut, you can take them and untwist them so that they're not so thick, but it's still a nice thick piece of twine. And I just think that this is the coolest way to be able to use this rope. Now what you're going to do is you are going to take 2 of those ropes, and you are going to take your little figurine, and right where their hands are, because all of their hands are facing up as if they already want to be parachuting down, you're going to hot glue on both arms your twine. Now make sure you make the twine all the same length so that when you hang it up, Santa is not kind of leaning crooked on the parachute. And then all you have to do is line the twine up to his armpits and then bring it all the way up. Even if he has a present, it's not going to change the dimensions of how he hangs and moves on the parachute. Then when your parachute top is dry, go ahead and take a cute little green bow. I picked up that ribbon from the Dollar Tree. And then on the flip side, you're going to take some hot glue, and from one corner going all the way over to the other corner, make sure you've got the right direction with your bow. You don't want your bow to end up crooked or sideways. You're going to add a thick line of hot glue, and then simply hot glue those ropes right down into place. And then to make sure they're really secure, take some more hot glue and go over them. Now I did put a lot because I really wanted it to be on there strong and not come off over time. And to clean up your project, add some red paint to hide the hot glue. I was nervous about this one, but I wanted to give it a try. I saw this wire, and I have seen wire-shaped ornaments before and thought, man, that's gotta be just like pennies and nickels to make. So I picked up some wire from the Dollar Tree. I can't remember the gauge, but it is definitely a thicker gauge in wire, and you can tell by just looking at it, it's really thick. But it holds its shape nicely, and it's not hard to work with. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your wire. Don't cut a piece because you don't know how big you're going to need it to be, just because I was kind of freehanding this. But I zigzagged back and forth, and my spacing was about 2 inches in my zigzag. So I zigzagged up and then back down, and each point is about 2 inches long. And you're going to need 5 of those because we are going to cut off the excess. And see how I left some hanging over at the end there and over on the other side too. You want to have some extra so that you can, once you're done forming your item, you can twist the end parts together. So we are actually making a star, if you can't tell, because there's 5 points. And at this point I was a little nervous because I was thinking, holy smokes, this thing is a mess. I can't even freehand stars. What am I doing with wire? But I kept the faith and I kept moving forward. That last extra piece, I bent it down, and then all of a sudden it turned into a star. Friends, I struggle with stars. If I can do this, you can do this. So all you're going to do is just keep working around until it looks like a star, and then there you go. Now at this point it still looks a little rough until the next part. Again, I kind of dreamed this one up in my head. I thought it would be so pretty. I took some strips of drop cloth, and someone asked if you have to have drop cloth. You can actually take an old sheet and do this too, but create some strips with using drop cloth or an old sheet or any fabric that you have on hand that you like, and then you're just going to twist it all around those metal edges of the wires. And then, you know, when you get down into those corners, you're just going to kind of work the fabric, turn it whichever way you feel, go with the flow, feel the ornament, be at one with it. And then when you get to the very end, you're going to flap down that last piece and then hot glue it into place. And look, can you believe that? This thing was a hot mess at first. I was losing my faith, and look, it turned into something so cool. And then you're going to create your hanging twine loop at the top and then add a little bow. Now friends, I don't know about you, but I love how this turned out, and I just think it is just so darling, and it costs practically nothing to make. It's crazy to think that stores charge so much for these metal shaped ornaments. For the next ornament, you are going to take a towel from the car section at the Dollar Tree. You are going to take these little wood stocking ornaments and some red paint. Now, you can use these ornaments for a ton of different things. I've seen people using them for garlands, and I think that's really cute too, but we're going to use them for ornaments, what they intended them to be used for. I'm going to take some red paint and once again water it down so that the wood grain can come through. I feel like anytime you can see that wood grain look, it looks more farmhouse than versus traditional. So I painted one side when I first did these, and I regret that. So just a little tip, paint both sides. You'll love it so much more if you paint both sides, because you can have them either way facing their stockings on your tree. Once you've got them all painted red, you're then going to let them really dry because you want them to not get on the next part by accident. Take your fabric that you've picked up from the car section. This is just a car drying towel, but I love that it has a little bit of a fluff to it, so it's perfect for these stockings. You're going to measure the thickness that you need to go around the top of your stocking, cut a long strip. Now before you glue it on, take some twine and fold it in half and hot glue that down into place. This is going to allow you to be able to hang it up. Once you've got the hanger hot glued on, you're then going to take some more hot glue, and then you're just going to take that fabric and wrap it all the way around. Now you can just leave it like this, but I've noticed that when I went around, you can see the wood popping through the top and the bottom sides where it goes down into the boot. So I decided to add some hot glue at the top, just a little bead of it, and then I just pinched it in place so that it really looks like it's a stocking. And then you're going to do that again on the bottom sides where the boot meets up with the fabric. This just completes the look and makes it look more store-bought. Now you can leave it like this with just the red and the white, but again, I just think it would be so cute if I added a little bit of flair to it. So I took this stem from the Dollar Tree, snipped off a leaf, pinched it down into place, and added a berry.
Did you make it all the way through the whole video? I hope you felt inspired and you are ready to craft this Christmas season. Leave a comment down below to let me know what was your favorite DIY that I did this Christmas season. And until the next episode, bye homegirls!